Without a vision, the people perish. Welcome to Vision Plus, a program featuring a positive outlook, dealing with everyday situations of marriage, children, and business with challenges and opportunities. Believing Philippians 4:13. You and I can do all things through Christ who gives us strength. Teacher, author, speaker, delighting audiences from New York to Sacramento with a heart and message for the people today. Here's Bonnie Libhart.
You and I also may be involved in blended families, or you may know someone in your family that is a blended family. A family where your children and our children are fighting their children. Anyway, there's a whole lot of people involved in the situation where there's so many people that through death or possibly divorce have come together maybe God has put together as a new family. And how to get along with all of those in-laws and outlaws is sometimes a real big challenge. But we may have an answer for you today. If you know anyone involved in a blended family, give them a call and tell them to watch television now, because you're going to have an opportunity to possibly get some answers of how one family did this. And it's a family that we've known for a dozen years, and perhaps you've met over the years too. It's Dr. Charles Patterson and his wife, Jean Patterson. Jean and Charles married a dozen or so years ago. They can straighten me out on everything that I'm saying that's incorrect. And he had children, and she had children, and I know her husband had died, and now they are together as a family. Welcome, Chuck and Jean Patterson.
Good to be here.
Yeah. Now, you two met. You're a medical doctor, and you have a clinic, and you're a nurse, and more than a nurse, because some of the things you work with your husband. But now, tell me how you two met.
Well, I was a widow, and I had been praying about my situation and getting right with the Lord. For one thing, I wasn't living close to the Lord, but I prayed that God would give me someone that would love me, but love God first, love me, and love my children and grandchildren. So I had other opportunities for a job, but they sent me down to Physicians Family Care, which is in Huntsville,
Alabama.
and there Chuck was, and we started talking. Of course, he'd gone through a divorce, terrible divorce, but God put us together. I know He did, because we felt we could talk. We could talk and tell each other things, and he would write letters and read them to me in the lab, and I understood, and I really appreciated him because he was just a special person. And then my daughter had shared with me, Mom, you're going to meet someone that's tall, wears a black suit, and has brown eyes. And I said, oh, okay. So anyway.
Yeah, she's a nurse too.
Yeah, she's at the hospital, and she's in the surgery. But probably 2 to 3 months later, I met Chuck. And since then, we've been, 3 months after that, we got married in March, and we've been together 14 years will be the March.
And I was working, I think, 4 or 5 different jobs, just trying to make ends meet. And I was going downhill financially fast because my bills were bigger than my income, so I thought I had to work all these hours to meet my expenses. And I had no intention of any social life at all. I was strictly business and strictly work. And finally I met this young lady that was in a similar situation as I was. Had no intention of dating or anything, but I think communication is the big skill, big item here. We could communicate. I enjoy writing, and I enjoyed having somebody that could appreciate the articles I wrote. I wrote some for some medical journals and things, and I think communication is a big factor here. And of course, we've had we worked together at NASA, and they accepted us very well out there. And we saw a need in northern part of Huntsville. We'd been attending a small Baptist church out there, and I was playing the organ, and this young mother tapped me on the back and said, "My baby's sick. I need some help." So I went off the organ bench, and we took the child back to the Patterson study. And this child was near death, and she said that she tried to call 4 or 5 different pediatricians and was turned down. So to make a long story short, we made arrangements for the child to go in the hospital, and I don't know for sure whether he would have died or not, but he came awful close to it. But he's alive and well now, and remains one of our faithful patients. So with this information that there was a definite need in this particular part of Huntsville, in the northern community, it didn't take long to establish an office with the help of one of the pharmacists. We had an office set up, X-ray, EKG, lab, and the good and the bad news is the first night we were there, we had 10 patients. The bad news is we knew we didn't have enough room for everybody, and it's been steadily building ever since till we have very full practice. We've doubled our office space, and we have well, I've always enjoyed fixing things. When I was a child, I saw something broken, I wanted to fix it. Whether it was a toy, whether it was a light or a radio. All my neighbors, when I was a child, would bring their broken appliances, and I'd fix them. I'd go to the junk pile and pick up things and fix them up. And I kind of equate this to the human scene, too. We see so many patients out there that are broken physically and emotionally.
Well, that's the way we were, too. We were broken, but God put us together, made something beautiful out of one of us.
And we're going to hear that song after a while, but not at the moment, because you got me thinking about, now, you had a couple of children.
Three children.
3 children, and you had 3 children.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you tell your children that you're thinking of getting married before you married, or
We did.
Yes.
Did they come to the wedding?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And your children live a lot of different places, don't they, Chuck?
That's right. Colorado, Houston, Orlando.
Florida.
And in fact, they've some have visited in Huntsville and actually visited in my home. So
That's right, they have.
I enjoyed meeting them. They're
And I
wonderful.
got one in Wichita.
And yes, and you have one in Wichita. And in
The other
fact, they went to China as missionaries
Yes, they did.
not too long ago.
Right.
And they all came to visit you. They come back and forth. Well, you have wonderful places to go. I think you and your son Dave own some oil wells and some investments there.
Well, my son is a geological engineer, and he's in the prospecting business, and we have one oil well that gives us a huge amount of money per month, like $17 a month, I think, something like that.
That's money.
Hey, I have one of those
bit,
too
yes.
that my mother left me, but it's maybe $30 a month.
Yeah.
Mine's almost twice as big as yours.
Oh, yeah.
We'll trade.
Yeah, really. But you never know what tomorrow will bring, do you? Now, it couldn't be all fun and games to bring 8 people plus children and grandchildren together. So tell me a little bit about how I have married. I was married before when I was 16, and so my husband married. I had a child at age 21. Well, 20, and 2 days later I was 21 when she was born, and found out that that husband actually had a child by another woman that he said he's going to go marry. That wasn't a good plan, but I did have an opportunity to meet the current husband. We've been married 4 decades or so, but he adopted him, but he adopted my daughter, but he never seemed to like her. So the truth of the matter is that it's not always, it took a long time for him to like her, if I should say that. So I can't believe that it's all been fun and games. What's been some of the challenges that you've had?
I guess the will, we had never have done it. But no, seriously, I think that loving one another, and I shared my love for his children because I had told God that, you know, I really wanted someone that loved God first and me, and I think that is included in there. And as children, I think they learned that I wasn't out to take everything that Daddy had because he didn't really have a whole lot. But together we had a lot because we had love and we had all the in-between things that we needed, the furniture and all that stuff. But our kids are very good about it. I mean, they've accepted things, and they come in our home and they love me.
Now I hear her story, but I'm wanting to know about you. Do you feel like my husband does sometimes when he feels like I give too much to my daughter? Is there a possibility that she occasionally gives too much to her children?
No, I think on the contrary, my kids take to Jean 150% or more. They appreciate her. They
Now, is their mother jealous of Jean?
Not a bit. In
Not a
fact,
bit?
she and her husband were on hand when one of her daughters got married, and we went out to dinner with them, and so there's no conflict there at all.
No.
Well, I
Everybody's
wouldn't
happy.
really know about my ex-husband's wife because Tony made him sign that he would never try to see his daughter again, which was a mistake on my part, but at the same time, so at least I don't have in-law challenges from that family. Had little in-law challenges with my husband's family because they didn't like Southerners and especially a divorced woman. They had never had a divorce in the family, and I was the first son of their 6 boys. So they didn't. Took me 10 years to find out that I had a pretty great family. My in-laws were really wonderful, and it took them about that long to find out I wasn't really all bad too. Either.
That's true.
But it's not easy always to blend all these families together.
True.
And we had my mother living with us during the early months of our marriage, and she was in a nursing home in Ohio, and it shriveled up into nothing.
And we hadn't been married long either. This was new.
We saw the condition she was in up there. I said, "Look, we're getting her out of there."
And
so
we was for
we
it, yes.
brought her home.
Well, I understand there's a lot of good traits about your mother, and I hope we get to understand those and that you're just like her. So we need to hear more about that in a little while. But first, I think you're going to do something beautiful first.
Yes.
And I told you that for 6 years that was my theme song.
Yes,
It was a Women's Glow radio program in Waco, Texas. So I really love that song, and I know that all of our viewers do also. Many of our viewers, and if they don't, well, they will get an opportunity now. So we're going to get to hear Chuck and Jean Patterson, and I hope he'll have a little opportunity to tell us about some of the things that have happened as far as his learning to play the piano. He learned when he was like 4 years old. His mother believed in him a lot, and I think that's one of the successes of many children that grow up to be adults, like Chuck and Jean Patterson, is that their mother and dad believe in them. Now, his mother got an old piano, I understand, and the piano didn't even have the front on it, so as he played, all the keys didn't play, and he could watch that, the piano being played and all those keys, and because all the keys didn't work, he learned to transpose the music, which later became a real asset for him because he can transfer any music into any key now, and he does it all by ear. And I think he can play the piano and the organ, and there's so many instruments, and you can go to him and say, Brother Chuck, I want to sing this song. My favorite is How Great Thou Art, and I want to sing it in this key because I have an alto voice or below an alto voice, maybe a bass. But and he can transfer that to any music. So if you would like to hear this music being played by Chuck and Jean Patterson, and by the way, they have a CD out of a lot of their music, and I hope that we get to see. I didn't keep the CD with me, but I know that Michael Lee and Marcus Lee have that CD, that if they could take it over, and are you going to bring that to me? Oh, Marcus, thank you. He is so precious. This is the music. It's Jean and Chuck Patterson, and it's recorded by Majestic Sound Studio, produced by Michael Kelly, Majestic Songs Incorporated. This is really anointed praise and worship of some of the music of Chuck and Jean Patterson. And if you would like to have a copy of this, you may have a copy of this music for a donation of $15 or more to Vision Plus. That is a non-profit organization, and the music is made available for you to have, but at the same time to enjoy Chuck and Jean Patterson in playing this music. And now you'll get to hear one of the songs. I'm not even really sure if it's on this album, but perhaps they can tell us. Something Beautiful by Chuck and Jean Patterson.
Something beautiful, something good. Oh, my confusion, he understood. All I had to and strife, but he made something beautiful of my life. If there ever were dreams, they were lofty and noble. Those are my dreams from the start. All my hopes were life's bets, with the hopes that I'd harbor down deep in my heart. All my dreams turned to ashes, and my castles all crumbled, and my fortune turned to loss. And so I wrapped them all up in the rags of my life and laid them at the cross. Something beautiful, something good. Oh, my confusion, he understood. All I had to offer him was brokenness and strife, but he made something beautiful of my life, and he'll make something beautiful of your life.
Chuck and Jean Patterson. And yes, it is on their album. I Believe in Miracles, Touch Through Me, Fill in the Name of Jesus, I Ask the Lord, and Let There Be Glory and Honor in the Presence of Jehovah. I Sing Praises to Your Name, and Something Beautiful Now, medley. And actually there's other vocalists on that particular song, and, well, all of them in fact, and sometimes Chuck plays the piano and the keyboard, of course. Not only Tina Robinette, who is, oh, she's just got a voice that's just so unbelievable, Darlene Kelly, and so you'll get to hear all of those people, this trio, on this particular album. Now, they're also going to do another one. They have No One Ever Cared for Me Like Jesus, and there's just something about that name, Only Jesus, Fill My Cup, Lord. I'm sheltered in the arms of God, learning to lean, and He. But right now they're going to sing another one that's called He Touched Me. And many of you love that, and that's your favorite, many of our favorite songs about how He really does touch us in our life. And so listening to Jean and Chuck Patterson from the album Praise and Worship, Jean and Chuck, He Touched Me.
Shackled by a heavy burden, neath the load of guilt and shame, then the hand of Jesus touched me, and now I am no longer the same. He touched me, oh, He touched me, I know the joy that floods my soul. Something happened, and now I know He touched me and made me whole. And since I met this blessed Savior, and since He cleansed and made me whole, I shall never cease to praise Him. I'm gonna shout it while eternity rolls. He touched me, oh, He touched me, and oh, the joy that floods my soul. Something happened, and now I know, oh, He touched me and made
Chuck Patterson from her Praise and Worship album that's by Majestic Sound Studio, Majestic Songs Incorporated, and that is from Michael Kelly. And you will get to hear Darlene Kelly and Tina Robinette also on this album. So I look forward to having you have that opportunity to have the album. And I know that if you would like to have them, you can call 877-823-6886 and get this album. So, and then that is number for Vision Plus. It is a nonprofit organization, so you can get a tax deduction if you buy the albums, and we'd be happy to send them to you for a donation of $15 or more for the album from Chuck and Jean Patterson. Chuck and Jean Patterson. Oh, I really enjoyed that. That is marvelous. Now you had Tina Robinette and Darlene Kelly that's actually on the album with you, and it says that you played the piano and the keyboard. So did you play the piano in some of them and the organ in some? How did that work?
I used a keyboard that actually it had you could get the piano sound and the organ sound combined on there. So I was playing one keyboard but getting the effect of both things.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And this is my first time to sing since I've had surgery on my throat.
That's right, you did. So
I mean,
God did a healing there, didn't He?
Yes, He did.
Because you had
Yes, I had a polyp, but it
serious-
was benign, and this is my first time to sing solos, so this is it.
Yeah, well, they could have possibly heard a little in the background, and if I had known that she knew those songs, she'd have been up there with you. And that is, she was over there just singing with you a lot. So
We used to sing together on this TV.
In fact, television in
Right.
Huntsville, Alabama, a dozen years ago, didn't
Right,
you?
yes.
Frances Dempsey.
About 20 years ago.
Yeah,
probably.
and we're going to get to meet her.
Yes.
I don't know if it'll be on the same program, but at a later time that we get to meet her.
Yes.
Well, how did you two find out that you could sing together? Did you learn that before you were married?
Well, he said he played the piano, and I thought, well, okay. So when we got married, we just sort of, well, actually, before we got married, we sang some, and he played the piano and I sang. But after we got married, we began to we go to Antioch, and we started out there, and then we started going to First Assembly, and we started singing, and he played the organ there, so I started singing solos, and he played for me. So God just put us together, and all
I
things
know
just
I've
fell
heard
in
you sing
place.
in nursing homes
Yes,
in
yes.
Mississippi, I think. it
Wherever
was,
God opens the door, I do.
So that's good. Tell us about your learning to play the piano and some of the musical instruments.
Well, I had a very understanding kindergarten teacher, and she would allow me to play the piano. And
But you already knew. You were 4 years old when
I
you
was 4
started.
years old, and I knew exactly where the notes were on there. And I had this was my aunt's mother-in-law, had a pump organ in their farm in Indiana, and they would put phone books on the bench and let me play that. So I had a
But were you playing by music?
what's music.
Oh, what's music?
I read music like Ray Charles.
Okay.
I did take lessons.
That's a good person to emulate his musical
My
talent.
parents did try to sign me up for music lessons when I was first, second, third grade, somewhere in there. And the teacher was very patient, and he could see that I was doing a good job until he turned the book upside down, and I could play it just as well upside down, just right side up. So he said, "Get out of here! You don't belong in here." So anyway, any place I could find a keyboard, I'd play it, and if I didn't have one, I'd play on the back of a church bench or a table.
I've been with you and Jean at concerts or different things, and I see you. I mean, I don't care who it is up there, and you're on the bench playing the music on your shoulder, on the
Subconsciously,
chairs, and wherever you are, you're still playing the music. And I do that, but it doesn't sound the same somehow. I took music for 5 years, learned one song, Battle Hymn of the Republic. And so if we ever have a party, Tony will say, "Oh, that's my favorite song, play it again." But I don't know if I remember it anymore. But you played in a lot of places, overseas and lots of places, wherever you were.
The place I was, well, I played in the church when I went in the Air Force. Played in church there, and we had a music group. But any place that they want somebody that could play that didn't know how to read music.
But playing music is not the only thing you do. Another thing you do is you're an artist too, and you you painted incredible pictures. They're in your office. I actually have a print of one of them, and they're all over the country, I guess.
Well, like I say, I had very understanding elementary school teachers and nursery school or kindergarten teachers, and they encouraged my artwork and all that. And I did a lot of drawing and sketching and everything until I went to Germany in the Air Force and took some formal training with one of the old masters in Wiesbaden, and learned a method for doing pictures that look like real pictures. They don't look like Picasso. They look like real things.
As your mother could say, paint me a pretty picture, and you could do it then. Instead of, as you say, it looked like Picasso, it actually looked...
He painted on their clock. An old clock they had, he even painted a picture of it.
We have an old Seth Thomas clock that belonged to my great-grandparents, and the glass front was broken out one time. It's a very valuable clock. But when I was, I suppose, 9 years old, my grandfather asked me if I would paint a painting on the back, get a piece of glass and put a painting on there where the pinion goes. And I very painstakingly painted reverse on the glass the old homestead in southeastern Ohio.
I hope you still have that.
I still have it.
Oh, wonderful.
And
I'd see that.
above my desk.
You need to bring it and show it on television. Well, in the last couple minutes, you're now an artist and a musician and a physician, medical doctor, and an inventor. And I hope to hear a little bit more about your inventions in a little while, but in the last couple minutes, what we've been talking about is blended families, how to get along. Now, I can't believe that you don't ever sneak some things to your children. Now, I do mine.
Well, if they're hungry, I give them food, definitely, or, you know,
well, I've done
gas
that to my
money.
children.
Yeah.
Now that my husband's going to hear this program, he'll know it. So you might as well tell Chuck you do the same
well,
thing.
I do the same thing. We
She
give them
always asks me
food.
first.
Oh, okay. Does
She
she?
doesn't give things away behind my back, and if I feel like it's a worthy cause, I'll say go ahead.
Okay. Well, Gene and Chuck Patterson, medical doctor, blended family, musicians that have just learned to get along with all the in-laws and outlaws, and even your brothers and sisters. Now, that's a major miracle.
That's a challenge
sometimes in my life and my husband's life. And so we thank you very much for being that. Don't forget that if you would like to have their CD, you may purchase this CD with a donation of $15 or more from Vision Plus for, well, actually it's 1-877-823-6886. That's a toll-free number. And it is a donation that will go to help Michael and Kimberly Lee in keeping their programs going here on television. And we thank you very much for watching. I'm Bonnie Libhart, along with Dr. Charles Patterson and Gene Patterson. Bless your heart for watching.